Let's meet at the library. Okay.
Hi everyone, it's Julia and welcome back to my channel, or I should say it's Julia and Will, because I am here to announce the second round, yay, of All the World's a Page Readathon. So this is our second round, as I said, so our second year doing it, and my co-hosts and I are so excited because we had a blast with this last year, and we've really adapted it into something totally different this year, and who knows, we'll probably keep changing it every year because that's just fun. This is a readathon that we are hosting for the entire month of August, and it is myself, Olivia Savannah from Olivia's Catastrophe, and Kara from Wild Book Garden, and the three of us all love Shakespeare and are really interested in just making him feel approachable and fun and inviting to readers who maybe are less familiar with Shakespeare or who already love Shakespeare like us and want to celebrate that. So for all of these prompts, it is entirely open how you use them. If you want to read Shakespeare plays, that's wonderful. There's a lot of prompts that you can do that for. If you want to read Shakespeare retellings, there's a lot you can do with that too. If you want to read books that have nothing to do with Shakespeare but follow our Shakespeare inspired prompts, great, we've got you covered. So without further ado, should I say without much ado, stupid, let's get into the prompts. So this year, all of our prompts are based on different tropes that Shakespeare utilizes in a lot of his plays. So we have some based on characters and some based on plot and story elements, and they're all just a little bit silly and tongue-in-cheek because it's what the bard would want, right? So the first character prompt is, you have a twin, I guess, which is to read a book in a duology. There are so many Shakespeare comedies where a twin just shows up, or someone's like, yeah, I'm pretending to be them but they're not them, and it's always fun, it's always goofy. Yeah, read a book in a duology. Our second prompt is the inevitable cross-dressing. Read a queer book. So this could mean a whole variety of things, but whatever part of the LGBTQ plus spectrum you would like to read a book in, you can do that. Our third prompt is villain monologue. Read a book focused on a villain, antihero, antagonist, whatever, or a book that you think will have a really dramatic character arc in it. This is inspired by Richard III, because oh my gosh. Next is The Fool with All the Wisdom. Read a book that you're unsure about. This can be for any reason whatsoever. It can be a book that you have heard mixed reviews about, a book that you bought thinking you'll like and now you're less sure. Whatever it might be, go for it. And this would be a really good prompt to read a Shakespeare play for. I'm just saying, beginners. Next is Band of Brothers. Read a book that has multiple points of view or an ensemble cast. Next up is one of the best tropes, if you ask me. Maybe it's not even a trope, maybe it's just an opinion, but underrated female character who outshines the main character. And the prompt for that is to read a book by a female BIPOC author, which, if you don't know, BIPOC stands for Black, Indigenous, or Person of Color. So just anyone who falls under that umbrella. That's a lot of authors. And the final character trope we have is Lavinia Speaks. Read a book by a disabled author. For a little bit of context on that one, Lavinia is a character from Titus Andronicus, which is a very dark play, so be careful if you're thinking about reading that one. Just kind of look into it first, maybe. And she, during the course of the play, becomes disabled. So we wanted to kind of flip the script a little bit, allow for that disability representation.
I literally couldn't string words together, so I just cut myself off mid-sentence, but you get what I'm trying to say.
Next we have our story tropes. The first one is going to sound familiar to many of you. Fake your own death, because that will solve all our problems, right? And the prompt for this is to give a book a second chance at life, or just, pick up a book that you've previously DNFed, or maybe do a second chance author, something in that nature, and I have a lot of those personally. Next is, it's a problem play, so your punishment is marriage. The prompt is to read a book that has romance in it, any kind. So in problem plays, the romances are not always good, but you can choose if you want to read a romance with a happy ending or a book that is not a romance novel per se, but maybe has a romance element to it. Whatever works for you. Next up is Even Insta-Love Sounds Beautiful When You Write It Will, which is literally so the way my mind works. And this prompt is to read a book with a beautiful writing style or a writing style that you love. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a writing style that like everyone would be like, that's so beautiful. But the way you like to read writing, pick one of those. Next is definitely not set in England, I promise, which is based on the fact that, you know, Shakespeare has a lot of plays that are set in other places like Athens or Italy or wherever, and somehow they all kind of feel like England. And the prompt for this is to read a book that is set in a country that you do not live in. So there's a whole lot of world out there. Just find one place that you don't live. Next might be my favorite prompt, honestly. It's history, but add a little bit of drama, and that is to read a book that blends historical fiction with a different genre. So it could be a historical romance or historical fantasy, my favorite genre, or historical, I don't know, sci-fi, like a steampunk book, whatever you want. I love this prompt. This could also be a book that involves time travel. I'm just saying, there's a lot of avenues you could go down for this one. Next is, does this play need 3 parts? Shots fired at Henry VI, because I say yes, it does, but I don't think Henry IV needed 2 parts, but that's a different story. And this prompt is to read a book in a series. The next prompt is, you just missed the character you really needed to talk to, which is to read a book that you've been meaning to read for a while. Next up is pretty straightforward. Surprise! Magic actually exists for plot convenience, and that's to read a book with magic in it. And last up we have, I've been dying for the last 50 lines. Sorry, I had to deliver it dramatically. I don't know. Yes, I do know why, because I'm dramatic. And that's to read a big book, and you can decide what big means to you. Big is relative. So that is it. Those are our 16 prompts, I believe, and you do not by any means have to complete all of them, but if you do happen to be a completionist like we 3 hosts are, then you know, we fully encourage combinations of prompts, prompt stacking. If you can make one book work for, you know, 8 of these prompts, you do it. More power to you. I encourage it. I will fully be taking advantage of that power. The last thing I want you all to know about this readathon is that we are planning a watch along this year, and we haven't decided yet, or rather we're leaving the decision in your hands. We want to do some polls because, surprisingly, even though Shakespeare died hundreds of years ago and his plays are all fair use, it's incredibly hard to find free adaptations to watch online. So keep your eyes open on our 3 hosts' YouTube channels as well as our Twitter, which will be linked down below. So we'll be posting some polls to figure out what people would most like to watch, as well as when you would like to do it. Yeah, there's some good options out there, but we're trying to find what'll work best for everyone. So we want your input. So there you go. That's all the information you need to know for round 2 of All the World's a Page Readathon. We are so excited for this. I really hope you can join us. If you plan on joining, I'd love to hear down below which prompt you're most excited to fulfill and whether you think you're going to be actually reading any Shakespeare or not. If you're looking for some Shakespeare retellings or you would like to know how to start reading Shakespeare plays, I will link a couple of my videos that could help you out in those fields, and that's it. Thank you all so much for watching, and you'll see more from me soon. Bye!